Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kiskis and this is the Get Ahead family. On this channel, I share insights on how to relocate abroad, how to get jobs abroad, and other opportunities abroad. In today's video, I'm here with my colleague and we're going to be sharing our experience of working as contract managers, okay? So that's what this video is going to be about. So if you're yet to subscribe, please do well to subscribe and let's just get into this video. So let's get to meet our guest today.
Hello, I'm Claudio. I'm a lawyer from Bolivia, and I'm a contracts manager now in the UK.
Nice. So how did you get a job as a contracts manager from Bolivia, or you came to the UK to look for a job?
No, I applied from Bolivia, so I applied from outside the UK. A lot of people think it's not possible to do that, but there's a good chance that you can get a job here if you have the right experience.
Absolutely, because my experience and that of Claudio is very similar. I got a job as a contracts manager from outside the UK and he did the same. So you see, it's very possible. So Claudio, you're going to lead us today. We both did the same thing, right? But I'm going to allow you to do more of the talking. Now we're going to talk about what we do in a day. Okay, so if somebody was to say, Claudio, I've been hearing about contracts manager, but I really don't understand what it means. So what do you do as a contracts manager?
Well, you basically manage the life cycle of a contract from its creation, meaning negotiation, drafting, reviews, to other admin stuff and replying to emails and working with other functions. You work with accounting, with finance, personal data, so you're in contact with a bunch of different people.
Other people.
Yeah.
So what we need to clarify here is that we are research contract managers. So we work for a university and not just any other department. We work in the research and innovations department. But then there are other departments that have contract managers, like procurement, right? Estate management, they have contract managers as well. And then we have legal that also manage contracts. So, but our experience is on research contracts management, right? But that does not mean that if you are not working in research contracts, or if you want to be a contracts manager in other fields, that our experience would not matter. It's the same thing. You're working as a contracts manager, it's just your industry that is different. So maybe when you're now negotiating, it's industry specific rules that now matter in the negotiation. Okay, so now tell us who you interact with. You mentioned about we do this, we do that. So who are the people you get to interact with as you're doing your job as a contracts manager? Think about in a day, who are the people that you literally email and talk to and have meetings with?
Well, the researchers, first and foremost, because we gather a lot of information from them. We need to know about the project, so if we want to negotiate the contract or review the contract. I also work a lot with finance, because we need to cost the budget of the project, so they're very useful. They give us a hand. Research development managers, I couldn't tell you exactly what they do.
What? They are the ones that cost the project. Stop it. They do a lot of things actually.
They cost some of the projects, depending on what type of project it is. So sometimes accountants will help you, sometimes research development managers will help you with that. And data protection officer as well, she's very helpful. And
Insurance.
Yeah.
And then tax, VAT. We deal with everybody. It's so annoying that
sometimes legal, sometimes procurement.
Sometimes procurement.
Yeah. You deal with everybody.
Sometimes the university executive board.
Yeah, sometimes with the executive board, with the pro vice chancellor.
So you deal with everybody.
Yeah.
And your colleagues. And you deal with me too.
Yeah.
Your favorite thing in this office.
Well, we also deal with other contracts managers at other institutions.
At other institutions, yes.
Yeah, and not only other universities, but also companies. I think companies have realized for some time in the UK that universities have commercial capabilities. So yeah,
the stakeholder pool is very huge, so it just depends on what you're working on. You will know exactly who to reach out to. So let's talk about the work variety. So contract, so for what we do, because we manage a life cycle of the contract, you literally have to manage it from the beginning of the negotiations to signatures. Okay, so now it's not just about the negotiations. What other thing do you find yourself doing as a contracts manager?
Oh, replying to emails from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all those people that I mentioned, I have to be talking to them all the time. So that's a large portion of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, portion of the work.
Portion of the work. And then you have to literally confirm that the cost these days, or lately, I find myself very concerned about costing the budget, because if the costing is wrong and then you just lift the sum and put in the contract, then you're literally the one that caused the confusion. So you have to be very sure that, okay, how much are they paying the university? What's the university doing for them? And is this cost, does it align with the university policy?
Yeah.
It's like it's now in your hands to convince the researchers of when we mention researchers, we're talking about lecturers, professors, and all of that. They are the ones that are the researchers, and that's because we are research contract managers. So, but other contract managers who do not directly deal with researchers work for other reasons. Students' contracts. They also draft students' contracts of employment, and a lot of. I think contracts of employment, HR handles that. So there's a lot of things that we do as contract managers. You literally have to, what about the law, the legal part? Because I think people don't understand that as a contracts manager, because I've had a lot of questions. People ask me, why did I switch careers? Do you think we switch careers as lawyers?
No, I think you use your legal skill set, of course, but there's a bit more of commercial side to it. So yeah, I think it's a mix, but it's absolutely a legal job. I would say, yeah, probably legal professionals are preferred in this role, but you don't have to be one to learn how to do this job.
Absolutely. So it's not like we switch careers, it's just a narrower part of the law. Because for instance, you worked as an in-house counsel in Bolivia.
Yeah.
I worked as an in-house counsel in Nigeria. So as in-house counsel, you get to do a lot more, literally every aspect of the law for the organization. But as a contracts manager, your focus is on contracts. So it doesn't mean that we switch careers as lawyers. We are just in a more narrow niche. But then it does not also mean if you're not a lawyer, you cannot do the job. We have colleagues who are not lawyers.
No, yeah, half of them probably.
Yeah, more than half. Lawyers are the minority. But there was a time that I applied for a contract manager role in law, and I saw that role wanted you to be a lawyer.
Yeah, you will find some that want that, but I think especially in education, they cannot really be too picky because there's not a lot of people in education.
Yeah. So how do you even receive how do you even know what contracts to draft? Okay, let's say that, because sometimes we receive the draft contract, other times you have to figure out the arrangement, you have to be the one to prepare the draft. So tell us about that commotion, that chaos. When you receive an instruction until when you sign the contract.
Well, we receive a request by the contracts assistant. She's great, she's amazing, and depending on what it is, I will follow a different procedure. If it's usually like a collaboration or mostly collaborations, everything will be almost in place for me to start drafting the contract or reviewing the contract. Whether I draft it or review it or negotiate it depends if we are leading or not. If we are the leading party of the project, then we draft the contract and the other parties review it and negotiate if they deem it necessary. And if we are not the lead, then we review the third-party contract, from the lead of the project. For other types of contracts, you have like studentships or research agreements,
data license.
Yeah, data license. You have those, and those will be costed by us first. So it's not cooked. You have to get all the information there.
So you have to get your facts right, and then you review or you draft.
Yeah.
And then you send over to the other party.
Yeah.
And after that, what next?
Oh God. You send to the other party, you try to get the best outcome possible for that contract, and then someone has to second review it. Another one of your colleagues, so Christina, for example, she would second review one of my agreements. Tell
them how you always give me agreements in 9 minutes to review. Tell them. Give me my flowers.
Yeah, she's been great.
Okay, but you've been great too, because I know that there are some times that you would get to review the contract, but because the negotiation takes a very long time, by the time it is time for signature, it's almost at the die minute. Like, if we don't sign this contract in 2 days, we're not going to move forward.
Many times I put couscous against the wall, and
I do the same shit.
Yeah, I tell you, I need this by tomorrow or by Monday or something like that, and she makes a lot of comments, good comments. Sometimes I cannot implement them because of the short timeline.
Now, tell us about the compliance. So this is the question I wanted to ask earlier. So there are some times that we literally have to go to dig out all that information to ensure that the contract complies with the law. So, like data protection. So tell us about the different compliance requirements as a contracts manager because I feel like we do a lot of compliance actually.
We do, yeah.
But just on the surface.
Yeah, just on the surface level. Data protection. So data will be shared. We need to make sure that the right data protection schedule is in place. If not, then it's pretty easy. Export control.
NSA. NSI. So there are different compliance regulations that you have to ensure that your contracts comply to. And for you to be able to do that, you have to understand what is the concept of data protection, what does it entail. Although they provide trainings when you become a contract manager, you get trainings in your field, but that does not mean that the training itself is sufficient. You have to do your own work to try to understand what is data protection, what is personal data. You have to sometimes guide the researchers because they don't understand. You can ask them, will you be sharing personal data in this project? And they'll be like, no. But then when you ask them what exactly will be the content of the data you're sharing, by the time they disclose, you find out that, okay, personal data will be shared. Or on the other hand, sometimes you ask them, will you be sharing personal data? They say yes. And then if you don't understand what personal data entails based on the requirements of the law, you will just work with that and see that you're giving yourself more work than you should have. So you need to understand the concept of data protection. You need to understand IP, intellectual property rights.
Yeah, intellectual property. For some of these, like intellectual property, you need a solid understanding of intellectual property. But for some, like say data protection or export control, NSI, you don't need an in-depth knowledge. You need to know enough.
Just working knowledge.
Yeah, you need to know enough that if there's something that doesn't seem right, you can at least flag it and discuss it with another function, with the data protection officer, for example.
Exactly. And people make it look like being a contract manager does not really entail, you're not using a lot of law. But I remember there was a contract I was negotiating. It was about the third party rights clause. So that's it. You have to know what the law says. If you're reviewing a contract and you see a mention of any law at all, you have to know exactly what is this law talking about. Do we need it in this contract? Okay, if we need it, to what extent? How will this law affect us?
Yeah.
So even if you're not a lawyer and you're a contract manager, you have to understand the law, especially when it is mentioned in that contract. Okay, what about insurance?
With insurance, I just make sure that if there is a requirements for us to have insurance in place, that we comply with the amounts or the policies that we have are compliant with the contract, basically.
Yes, and that means you have to, like, for instance, when I first started the job, the first time I saw an insurance requirement, like if a contract says that the university must have employer liability insurance, you have to go and check the insurance website. The good thing is our insurance, like the university, every function have their websites with a lot of information that you can consult. So instead of sending an email to the insurance department like, does the university have this cover? You just go to the website and you find it. But you have to ensure. The thing is, do you know that, like, I don't know what you said about, when you were as an in-house, you did not really you don't have to negotiate everything, you don't have to read everything. I found out that ever since, it was the same for me when I was an in-house. There were some contracts that I didn't really bother, but working here, I literally have to read every single word in that contract. You have to read everything word for word, and it has to make sense.
It has to make sense.
So if you see a requirement in a contract, in a draft agreement, that this is usually like if you get the draft from a third party, especially commercial companies, and then they say the requirements, the university must do this, the university must do that, then you have to ensure that yes, the university has the policy to do this and we can actually do it. Also, the fact that we can do it does not mean we should do it. So sometimes we have to like negotiate. Tell us about how the research contract manager roles is different from other contract manager roles.
Research contracts are different in the way that you have to focus on certain aspects, like IP, for example. I think that's one of the big ones. IP, publication,
intellectual property, because not everybody watching us might be
intellectual
lawyers.
property, publications. I think those two aspects differentiated the most from other commercial contracts.
And we are not focused on profits.
Yeah, we're not focused on profits. We just want to have some benefit for the public.
Yeah.
That's the aim of a charity like universities. And yeah, in a commercial setting, that's completely different. It's all about profit, reducing the risk as much as you can, which is the same for universities. We want to reduce the risk. So yeah, in that we have in common, of course.
As research contract managers, I think we have it a bit easy for us because we're always negotiating with other research institutions or the UK government, and sometimes I think that makes it easier because you don't have to go back and forth a lot. A lot of universities have similar terms, so we don't have to always go back and forth. But then now, if you become a contract manager in a more hostile environment, in a more competitive environment like commercial companies, private companies, then you have to be more aggressive in your negotiations.
Yeah.
Tell us about, how do you know that you're doing well? Like, how do you know that so far you've been here for how many years? 3 years?
No,
2 years.
2 years and some.
I've been here for 1 year, you've been here for 2 years. Okay. So far in the 2 years, how have you measured your performance?
Yeah, well, the way your performance is reviewed is your line manager will do a yearly performance of your review. You have some objectives, you set objectives, and then at the end of the year you see reach those objectives. But most importantly, they see your performance overall, how you work with the other members of the team. I think one of the positive comments about me is that I'm willing to share knowledge and work with my disciple here, my apprentice.
Meanwhile, I saw that it was like Claudio is like Claudio likes to seek new knowledge and share it. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? Do you mean that we don't care about seeking new knowledge? But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, your performance is measured in different ways. How good you are at negotiating terms, your knowledge of contract law,
how you respond to third parties, like, yeah.
Yeah, how you respond to third parties' feedback from the researchers, because feedback from the researchers. And
so have you had any promotions in the past 2 years?
Well, I wouldn't call them a promotion, but I did go up in position. So yes,
it's promotion. He came in as a contract associate, and in 6 months or 1 year?
In 1 year.
In 1 year, you became a contracts manager.
Yeah, in 1 year, I became a contracts manager. So first I arrived here and I was a contracts associate. So you deal with less complex agreements.
Like material transfers.
Yeah.
Confidentiality agreements.
Yeah.
Data license.
Yeah.
That's data that does not include personal data. Yeah. And amendments.
Yes. So if you show a willingness and you want to learn more and deal with more complex contracts, then it's not that difficult to obtain a promotion in a short period. I got one in 1 year. I think you got one in like 6 months. So
but that's also based on availability. If you go to if you are working for an employer that the entire vacancies are full, there might not be any promotions.
Yeah, it depends. Exactly. Yeah, people leave, they change jobs,
So it's when there's a vacancy, then there's an opportunity to get promotion. And I think why I like my current employer is because when there's a vacancy, they don't just go out there to look for somebody. Yes, they go out to look for somebody, but they will first prioritize the people within to see that, are you willing to take up more tasks, which is very impressive because a lot of employers don't do that. They just go outside and get somebody and even pay that person, the new person, higher than they're paying you. Okay, this video is getting too long. Let's know if you've learned anything in the comment section. Let us know if you have any questions. I'll drag Claudia to answer your questions. If you have any questions about, I want to be a contract manager, what should I do? There's a lot of videos on this channel that I've talked about what websites to get jobs from. You're going to tell us about where did you look for the job opportunities from Bolivia? What websites did you use?
I just use Google.
Google.
Basically Google Jobs, they have their own search engine for jobs specifically, and that's where I found it. And what I would do is, if they didn't say in the job advert that they advertised, I would send an email saying, do you offer sponsorship for this role? And that saved me from writing.
Did they used to respond?
Yeah, they usually respond. Some recruiters don't even know the law, and they think, no, we cannot recruit someone
From outside.
because this job doesn't meet the requirements for the visa. But
it actually does.
But it actually does, yes. I've emailed other universities, for example, doing the exact same job, and they don't know.
They don't know.
But there are a lot that do know and are willing to hire people.
So you went on Google. And what did you search? Because to be honest, this is the first time. Yes, I know that Google Jobs exists, but I think this is the first time I'm hearing somebody say, I went on Google Jobs to apply for jobs.
I don't know. I think I just searched contracts manager jobs because I worked in that before. And then I saw that some universities needed contracts managers. So I became interested in that for some, I don't know for what reason. And I got an interview rather quickly with another university, not my current employer. And I didn't get the job, but that interview taught me a lot about contracts, research contracts. So after that, I said, well, I'm going to focus on this field specifically, which is research contracts, and learn about it. And then just went online and searched resources for that. There are lots of free resources you can learn about research contracts. And that's how I got the job, really.
So, can you give us an idea what the interview, because I know I have shared on this channel with them that when I got this job, they gave me a task, they gave me a contract to review. What was the other interview like? Did they give you a contract as well?
No, they didn't give me a contract to review. They made me do a presentation. So it was a presentation about research contract.
Research contract.
Yeah.
Like what kind of presentation?
I don't know. It was up to me to decide.
Oh, really? It was open book?
Well, no, but just on I don't remember exactly the assignment, but it was about research contracts. So I just started digging the most important aspects, publication, intellectual property, and all these things, indemnities, liability, everything that is important in a contract. And I didn't do very well because at first...
That was your first time?
Yeah, that was my first time, and I didn't have very specific knowledge. They would ask me, oh, well, what's the usual time for publications that we would expect, if in the agreement, and I said, I don't know.
Yeah, because you're not in that industry.
Yeah, I didn't know, and then they told me, well, 30 days, you have to give 30 days notice before publishing. And yeah, from there on, I was able to...
How many jobs? Can you remember how many vacancies you applied for?
I applied for 5 jobs.
And you got 2 interviews?
I got 2 interviews and 1 job offer.
From Bolivia?
From Bolivia.
I don't know where people get the impression that you cannot get jobs from outside, you cannot get skills worker jobs. I am a very positive person, and I just feel like if you put in the work, you will get the results. But the thing is, by the time you lose hope, oh, I'm tired of applying, then you're stuck, because if you don't keep applying, where are your chances? But thank you for sharing that people can just go to Google and search for jobs.
Yeah, and I would say don't lose hope, don't be pessimistic. In my CV, I have lots of gaps. I worked at a place for a year and a half, and then I had a gap of 10 months. Then I worked there for another year and a half at another place, and then I had another gap because of COVID, another gap of 1 year, and then I got the job. And now we've been here for over 2 years.
So you were telling us about how you could demonstrate your transferable skills.
Yeah, well, you have to make sure they know. You have to tell them, well, my skills are transferable because I worked with contracts. If you come from a legal background, you will have worked with contracts as a junior lawyer.
What about those that don't come from a legal background? What should they do? How should they demonstrate their capacity?
Well, you can find roles that don't require you to have specific knowledge in that. If you do enough research and you learn some contract law, you can take a short course, or you can look at free resources.
Yeah,
I'm sure that you can land a job. I think as long as you're able to demonstrate that you're willing to learn and that you have the skill set for that, close attention to detail, and the analytical, logical, whatever.
Negotiation skills.
Yeah, negotiation skills. You develop those along the way, really. Yeah.
And what you should know is that we both came in as contract associates. So you might not have to just go for contract managers because they expect that managers are competent and have experience in the industry. Go for roles like contract officer, contract associate, contract administrator. When you come in, we know that you are a lawyer of 5 years standing. We know that contract associate is too small for you, contract officer is too small for you, we know. But when you come into the industry, in 6 months you can switch, just like I did.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like when I say that, I feel proud. I'm like, this one is just proud.
Yeah.
But you can do it. Like, you just need to get into the door and then show your skills, demonstrate your experience, and before you know it.
And the talent pool here is not that big in education, so there's not a lot of fresh blood coming in. So they are willing to recruit people from abroad. And I've talked about this with the head of contract teams of different universities, and they all said, yes, we have trouble hiring. So if you have the right skill set, go ahead. If you don't, you can do your own research and start from a lower position.
Absolutely. And the thing is when I came in as an associate, I didn't even see it as a lower position at that time. It's just because I'm a manager now I feel like associate is a lower position. Yeah. And so I have a video on this channel about how to write the CV that I used to get this job. It's on my channel. The CV, the cover letter, I have it, and I have a couple of people who have used the format of the CV and cover letters, and they've gotten, one has gotten a job as a contract manager in NHS. So you don't have to be a contract manager in a university. There are contract managers in almost every company, every industry, okay? And I feel like the CV that I used, it works for me, and it has worked for a few people. So if you don't have an idea of, I don't know how to write a CV, I don't know how to tailor my CV to fit a contract manager role or any contract related role, you can watch. I'm gonna leave the videos at the description box. You watch it and tailor your CV. I don't know, I just feel like this video is becoming too long. Claudio, closing remarks. Okay, so tell us, who should become a contract manager? Some people are watching this video like, what's contract manager? I don't even know if I can fit in. Who do you think are the ideal candidates to be a contract manager or contract related roles?
Well, if you're in research, someone who likes research, who cares about the greater good of the world, someone who likes reading, someone who is...
Do you like reading? You don't need to like reading, but you must know that you will read.
Yeah, you will read quite a lot, Close attention to detail.
Anyways, thank you so much, Claudio. As a contract manager, what have you done over time that has helped you become more proficient in your role?
Being more organized, that's one thing, because you're going to be managing a lot of matters at the same time, so you have to be organized and be able to prioritize. That's very important. Understanding and learning the process of each contract. So that's very time consuming in the beginning, but once you have that down, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I think being organized is actually very, very important, because how many contracts do you have in your portfolio currently? Right
now, like 40 something.
In the life?
Yeah.
The completed, can you have an idea how many you've completed?
I just went over 200 and something.
200 contracts?
210 probably.
I just completed about maybe 80. You've done 200 contracts.
Yep.
And then you have about 40 you're managing. So in the active contracts, you will probably be managing 50 contracts. So organization is very important. You have to know when an email comes in, you have to know which contract is that. You have to learn to file your emails in the right places. Oh God. This is another topic, because if you're not organized, it will just make your work like worse. Because first of all, if an email comes in, I just need 2 minutes to figure out who is this email from and where I'm filing it.
Yeah.
So yes, you have to be very organized if you must manage a portfolio of contracts. How many schools? So when we say a portfolio, we're talking about all the contracts that we are managing. So how many schools do you manage their contracts?
Well, I manage one.
You manage one because it's big?
Yeah, because it's big.
School of
agriculture.
Oh, that's sweet. It used to be meteorology. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So you're managing agriculture now.
Yeah.
Agriculture is very big. For me, I'm managing psychology, archaeology, literature. That's because they're like not as demanding. So it's almost like the same workload with a big school. Now, okay, I think we've mentioned like the different kinds of contracts that we get to negotiate on a daily. Give me 5, and then I'll try to mention a contract that's not in the 5. Give me the first 5 in 30 minutes. Don't think, in 30 seconds. Go.
Collaboration agreements, research agreements, studentships,
Wow.
data use agreements, and NDAs.
NDAs, non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
So we also have we do a lot of amendments.
Yeah, intellectual property assignments.
Yeah, intellectual property assignment, innovation agreements. What else have we not mentioned?
Material transfer agreements.
Material transfer, project partner letters. Literally,
Yeah.
What else? Is there contracts we've not mentioned?
There are thousands of types of agreements because in the end the name doesn't matter, it's a content.
It's the content that matters.
Yeah.
Oh, this was so nice. I enjoyed chatting with you, Claudio. Thank you so much, Claudio. And let's know in the comment section if you appreciate Claudio. Today is a Saturday. Claudio is supposed to be somewhere resting. I dragged him out to come and do a video. And the only way you can show appreciation is, let's see in the comment section that you appreciate Claudio. Drop your questions as well. Like this video, share it to anybody that you know is job hunting or is looking for a job, because so many people don't know that contract manager roles exist. I didn't know until I saw the vacancies and I started applying for it. So if you know anybody that is job hunting but doesn't really know what roles to apply for, somebody that is in policy, that is in education, that is in law, humanities, they can do contracts management. And another thing is, universities have lots of roles. What you can do is go to university website and check for their jobs, go to their job board and check for the different vacancies that you can apply. And I already mentioned like 2 websites on this channel. I'm not going to mention it here. The website that I got my job, I'm not going to mention it here because I want them to go and watch that video. 2 videos that a lot of people have given positive testimonies about watching that video. Thank you so much, Claudio. It was really nice chatting with you.
Bye.
Are you gonna come back to the channel? Are you gonna come back to the channel?
Maybe. Subscribe, like, and share. Make us lots of money. See ya.
Exactly. Thank you so much, guys. Catch you in the next video. Bye. Bye.